Welcome. Today's video is going to show you how the Panduit Polarity deck can be used in conjunction with the Vassal engine. So let me start Vassal first. You need to download Vassal from vassalengine.org, and then you'll do a file, open your module. Once you've opened it, it'll show up in your list of open modules, and select Polarity deck. You'll see it tiling. It does that up in the upper left corner while it's basically building the images for the game. And then we're greeted with the welcome screen. So from here, we typically do start new game offline. This program does have the ability to work with a couple of people across the internet, but we're not going to go into that detail today. We're just going to assume you're going to be playing around with it kind of solo. So let's just select teacher in this instance. We'll hit finished. Now, one thing you might want to do when this first opens, this is something I'm not able to programmatically change right now, is you'll need to drag this line that separates the window up a little bit. The upper window is a chat window, and as you do items, you'll notice comments will be basically written to the chat log. So you don't need a huge chat window there. This will allow you then to see everything on the tabletop. So let me just take you a quick tour of some of the features and capabilities of what you would be using the Polarity deck for. One thing you may want to do is reverse the deck. I like to reverse the deck because the cards are numerically numbered, and if you hover over a card, you'll get a larger version of it so you can read it more clearly. You notice this is 01A. So now this deck is kind of organized from top to bottom. And if we were going to build a circuit, we might start with card 1, like we've done here. And typically then I will right click and do a clone, which basically builds a duplicate of the card, which then you can left click and drag, with holding the button down to the other side. And then you may right click and select flip card. So if you have had a physical copy of the Polarity deck, these are two-sided cards in many cases. And so flipping over the card shows you what the other side has on it. So now we have our circuit kind of transceiver to transceiver. We need to add some patch cords. If you right click and select draw specific cards, you'll get a list of cards you can pull. Let's pull some patch cords here. So I'll just pull 031, which is the first patch cord. Now this happens to be a flipped patch cord, and I want to have a straight through patch cord. So I'm going to right click and say flip. So the other side of the card is a straight through patch card. And I'm going to clone this so that I have one on each side of the channel. The next thing I'm going to put in there is a couple of standard cassettes. So let's hit draw specific cards. And then before I do the cassettes, let's add the trunk. So we'll hit OK for trunk. We'll put the method A trunk in there, and then we'll draw specific cards. Go down to standard cassette, ASAF right. So we'll hit that one. And basically that's the MTP connector is on the right hand side. And if we draw specific cards, and the next series down is left, we have that. So you can, in your own mind here, calculate polarity of this channel by just looking at the numbers and adding them up. So we know that this value is 1 plus 2 is 3, 4, 5, 6. Up in the toolbar at the top, there's a calculate polarity button, which when we click on that, it should tell us what the polarity value is. It should add up all those numbers for us. It's still in test mode, so if you run into any problems, please do a screenshot and send it to me. And any notes of what you were doing prior to that, because sometimes prior events can affect things. Anyway, moving on, we notice that down here it says polarity error. And if you read the instructions on the polarity deck, even numbers are not good. So we know 2, 4, 5, 6, it is even, the numbers are right, and this polarity is probably wrong. So we need to fix it somehow. Now in many cases, flipping either a cassette or a patch cord will solve your problem. And so we have an AS cassette here to an AS cassette, and that's typically not a good idea. We want to change that, so let's flip it over to the AF. So let's click the Calc Polarity button again, and now we have an odd number, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it says polarity is good. The system does not verify that these are legitimate cards that will connect together. So I am assuming that you are technical enough to know that a patch cord can plug it into a transceiver. If you throw pieces and parts together that can't logically connect together, and then calculate polarity, it's nonsense. You know, garbage in, garbage out. As the designer, you need to make sure you build a channel with the appropriate components. There's also the recipe cards here that you can shuffle through and draw specific ones if you're looking to build a specific recipe, and it'll show you what the point value should be for that, as well as the product cards over here on the far right, where you can scan those QR codes typically on screen with your cell phone to get to the spec sheets for these specific products. Up in the toolbar, there is a back button here, or undo, which will undo the last thing you did. So it flips the card back, and so you can see now we're back to a polarity problem. And we can step through a whole bunch of changes. You can see if I step through a lot, it basically puts all the cards back. There is also this little circular planet here that says show server controls. Feel free to click on that. That has to do with the Vassal engine and connecting to a second person remotely. So if you were trying to teach someone polarity or show someone this, there's two ways to do it. One is if they have Vassal, you can both join the same game via the Vassal tools, or in many cases, I will just share my screen with in a meeting and show customers this without even messing with the server controls. So that's what that does. Retire allows you to change and become either an observer or another side. So if you want to become the student and switch roles with somebody, you can do that. You don't really typically hit that too often. If you hit open rulebook, it'll show you the basic cards that have notes on them about what polarity is, as well as reach for certain transceivers. So that's all there. The camera icon basically takes a snapshot of the screen. So if you build out a circuit and it's got the wrong polarity value calculated, feel free to take a screenshot of that and send it to me. The zoom in, zoom out, set zoom and zoom out basically control how big the table is. So if you want the table to be bigger, you can zoom in or you can zoom out to make the table smaller. The default zoom is 39%, and I find that to be pretty decent. In the help screens, I do have links to the Panduit webpage, some Polarity white papers, and these will basically launch into a web browser, and the HD Flex ordering guide and this video tutorial. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.